You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. If you'd like to learn more about the Bearded Theologians, you can go online at beardedtheologians.com, where we have past podcasts, blogs, and a couple items for sale. So check us out, beardedtheologians.com. Thank you for listening, and enjoy this week's show. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Matt Franks
and Zach Bechtold.
So this week on the podcast, we're going to talk about humor in the church. This is something that Zach and I believe in. I think that it's something that is necessary for the life and health of the community. But I think it's something that we can definitely have some fun with today. And so, Zach, as you think about humor in the church, what comes to mind to you?
Yeah, no, I mean, like any other pastor, clergy, I like to incorporate my own, sense of humor into sermons and really cheesy jokes. And, but it's all in an effort. It's all in an effort to lighten us all up. That finding humor, finding the church, wherever that may be, worship, Bible study, just in community in general, finding ways that we can laugh, finding ways that we can find joy in that, I think is really, really important. And for me, I'm going to spend some time this year, Easter to Pentecost, working on reclaiming the humor in the church, and finding ways that we can not hide behind laughter, but reclaim it in such a way that we remember that Jesus laughs. The disciples laugh. You have to know that Moses and Abraham and those guys who went through it all laughed. And really, for me, humor. My therapist would probably tell you that I use humor a lot to deflect things, and they're right. But like I said, not a way to hide behind and bury the reality of this life, but to find meaning and joy in the serious bits of life, but find it through humor. And I think our faith really, really lends to that, to finding joy and humor and laughter in things that are heavy. Like I said, not to hide, but to really, really deal with them. And I think humor is one of the things that helps us do that. And so, yeah, my kind of word or hope for the year is to reclaim that humor, reclaim that laughter that we have really pretty embedded and ingrained in our faith and in journeys and in really culture of the church. That's my real serious answer for that.
That's your real serious answer to that. Well, for me, and it just so happens before Zach and I kind of kicked this idea off, I was on Sunday morning. I preached this ideal of I'm pretty sure I've shared this before on the podcast. I mean, we've been doing this for 7 years now. I'm sure I've said it at least once or twice. But I like to have a new word for the year, and kind of after prayer and discernment this year for the congregation, the word is renewed. And as I think about being renewed, the three things that came up to me was be renewed to serve like Jesus, to live like Jesus, to have fun like Jesus. And I talked about this on Sunday morning. And one of the things I shared with them was like, nowhere in the Bible does it say that church has to be boring. And I think that we have allowed that to occur. We have forgot that humor and sacredness can go hand in hand. There are times to be reverent. There are times that seriousness does need to occur, but if we're not having fun, if the congregation isn't laughing on occasion, then man, your congregation's not going to be healthy. I mean, it's just studies have shown that how much humor plays into healthiness. And I think far too often churches spend more time being all serious and no fun, and really finding ways to have humor incorporated throughout your time together, whether it's in worship or Bible study or whatever it is you do together. Having those moments be pure and authentic are part of the community experience that I think that is necessary for health and growth of a community.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Health is such a vital thing, whether it's our personal health, our spiritual health, our communal health, however it is. laughter's a big part of that. I don't know that I've even seen the whole movie, and it's a pretty old now. But you remember when Patch Adams came out, that was, you know, healing through laughter, and the whole concept that individual was doing, and just bringing hope through laughter to people. There is absolutely something to that. And I look at my own life and the way that I lead. I have to be able to laugh at myself, especially on a Sunday morning, especially in the day to day, because it's way too easy to take ourselves so damn seriously that we lose the connection. We lose the meaning of why we're there. And we look for things to be perfect rather than to make room for grace. And I think for me, that's what laughter does. If we're able just to hold that tension with humor in appropriate ways, that it drives our faith, it drives our connection, it drives our relationships forward. And I don't know. We always need reasons to laugh. My goodness, this world's too serious sometimes, and there's a lot of serious stuff going on. Uh, but yeah, I would just need to laugh a little bit.
Well, and I think that that's where the true conversation in meetings and things,
Mhm,
I'll go back to Wesley on this. How is it with your soul? Are
mhm,
you are you having fun? I think that that can be a question you can ask your groups. Are
mhm,
are we having fun doing this? And if you're not, why? Like, and I know that there are you don't necessarily want a grief group. Like, when was the last time we laughed in a grief group? Unless it's necessary. There are times when it is necessary, but like, it shouldn't be all giggles or all seriousness. I think
sure.
there should be some fun to it, but I also do believe that, like, having that kind of allowance to have space for that sacred humor to come in is
Mhm,
key. Like, I mean, I usually, when I make a mistake, I'm usually the first. I'll admit it and I'll make fun of myself for it, and dust myself and move on, because I want the congregation to know that that's okay. Like, and I
mhm,
think sometimes we forget that those things occur,
right.
and that are necessary for the humor of um and the health of the congregation. I think that
Mhm,
sometimes we take ourselves way too seriously.
yeah.
um Actually, I'd
I've
say most
always
times we take
most
ourselves way
times,
too
yeah,
seriously.
for sure. And we do serious work and sacred work, but if we can't do it with joy, if we can't have fun while we're doing it, really, who cares?
Yeah.
I think it loses some meaning and momentum when we aren't able to have fun, when we don't allow ourselves that. Yeah, talking about grief, I uh I love making people laugh during funerals, telling their families stories and things like that. I mean, there's something really cathartic about it, and I think really hopeful, when families are able to approach grief and loss and heartache in such a way that they're able to laugh and find joy in those moments amongst their grief. I think it's huge. And now that's not every funeral calls for that.
Right.
Not every grief calls for that, but there are times, and I think that's just a reminder in the moments in this life, and whatever it is that we do, is reading that moment and going, oh, here's the chance we can find some humor. Here's where it's good and where it's needed. And not forgetting that, like I said, we're too serious sometimes, and we forget as a church, we just forget as people to laugh a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that, like, one of the things I would encourage people, if you want to learn how to do that and do it well, is watch comedians,
Hmm.
and watch how comedic timing comes into play. Because I think if you learn how to do that and you're preaching, or whatever you're doing, I think you can gain some health in that.
Hmm.
And I think there's definitely some healthiness into that. And so I think that
Yeah.
that's a good place to if you're wanting to learn how to do that, if that's not something you're good at, go listen to some comedians, and figure out comedic timing and learn it and
Mhm.
practice it. And
I
I think that's one of the things to be healthy with.
I would argue that pastors wanna be comedians and comedians wanna be rock stars.
Yeah.
So that's just the natural trajectory. Watch the people you wanna be.
Yeah.
Uh, No, some of my favorite storytellers and honestly preachers are comedians who are just telling stories. They're sharing. Um, they're holding that tension between the seriousness of life and reality with humor, and they do it so well that it makes you feel. It brings the reality of what you're feeling and reminds you that you're not alone. And I think comedians probably capture that better than most trained preachers, probably any day of the week.
I concur. So I think for us today, a good landing spot would be, how are you practicing holy humor in the life of your church? What does that look like? How are you having? I mean, really, I definitely ask yourself, how are you having fun in the life of your
Mhm.
church? And wrestle with that. And I think that if you can figure that out, you'll find some health in that, and you'll definitely you'll have fun. Like it won't kill you. I think that's definitely uh, a good place to land. Zach, any closing thoughts?
No, go out there and laugh. Enjoy yourself. Have some fun.
Yeah. So for the Bearded Theologians, I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold. Thanks for checking us out.
Guys, I want you to subscribe and like this video and push that thumbs up.
Thank you for listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all social media outlets. You can check out old episodes and more information at beardedtheologians.com. Thanks for checking us out.